Chishti.
The issue of UKVI and the tribunal system. One of the concerns that I have as a Member of Parliament, and others may comment on this in terms of their own experiences, is the massive delay that there is in relation to getting a response for your constituent who is anxious, distressed, and they need certainty and they need an answer. And I accept there's complex cases, there's straightforward cases. So in relation to the extensive delay that one experiences, what is the reason for that? And then secondly, linked to that, if you say you have to deal with 10 million cases, but how many of those are complex and how many of them are straightforward, and do you have adequate resources to deal with that?
Yes. I mean, as I learned yesterday, I think it's 99.5% of our cases are dealt with within the service agreements that we have in place. So it's a very, very small percentage to go beyond. And generally that will be because, now I'm happy to admit, I'm following the Chairman's lead and Mr Lawton's comment. There are occasional mistakes, and we have to deal with those as soon as we're aware of that, try and deal with it and fix it. And actually I've always said to colleagues, if they approach me for things in an area, we'll dig into it and get to the bottom of it. But generally, the cases that take longer, we will let the applicant know it's going to take longer, and it will be because it is a complex case. And actually, it's a very good example raised me on the floor of the House yesterday by a Scottish member actually, and I said I'll speak to that Scottish member because there is actually some very, very detailed, complicated factors in that case that on face value can look a very simple, straightforward case, as we often see with some of the cases raised in the press. When we look at it in the detail of it, there is some complexity there, and often we have to actually deal with the complexity. It's not always in the public domain. But
just on that, I know the Department marks cases as non-straightforward, and in relation to non-straightforward complex, just to get the scale of this, 10 million cases overall, how many of that, say percentage-wise, are non-straightforward complex cases, so one can get the full picture of it?
Well, if you take it on the basis we do in 99.5% of all cases within the service level agreement, it is that roughly 0.5%.
And then just further on from that, in terms of service agreement, complying with that, then you come to the tribunal system. So when you have the President of the Immigration Bench, President McCluskey, saying the Home Office, making that President Gow's also criticised the Home Office for slavishly appealing decisions that have little hope of or overturning. Would you agree with that?
No, we have appeal cases where we think we have a good reason to appeal them.
Yeah. So in relation to the good reason to appeal, and you also said earlier you win many as well, how many of those decisions from the lower tribunal are appealed to the upper tribunal?
I don't have those figures in front of me.
All right.
I can come back to you.
All right. But just on the reverse side of that, not the figures, but in terms of the success rate, not the number that go up to the upper tribunal, you say you win many as well, but on a percentage, when the cases that get appealed from the lower tribunal to the upper tribunal, how many do you win?
Again, for the details of the case, I'll have to come back to you.
So
I'm quite right back to you.
Sure. But so if that is the case, that you don't have the figures, and I accept, this is a detailed figure that one's asked for, and the percentage. So the President of the Immigration Tribunal, who sits on this day in, day out, could be right when he says the Home Office slavishly appeal cases when they ought not to be appealing them.
No, as I say, we will take a view about appealing a case based on whether we think it is in the public interest or whether we think we have a good reason to appeal. That's quite different to whether the judge who's hearing that appeal actually agrees that on the basis of that case, whether they think they're going to grant that appeal is a different issue to why we've appealed in the first place.
Sure, no, I get that, and also I think it may be that, and the reason I raise this is because we have constituents who are anxious, they're distressed, and they get cases which the immigration, where you have presenting officers who turn up, and they are not open to a flexible approach hearing new evidence. Is that something which has been raised with the Home Office before?
That's not something that's been raised with me.
Right. Well, if I put it to you that something which has come up is that the immigration presenting officers, when they turn up before hearings, even when new evidence is presented to them, are not in a position to be able to take a different course of action, and that's what then leads to lengthy judgments, and then also cost money, time, and anxiety or distress. Is that something which is being put to the Home Office before by the judges or by applicants or their members of Parliament?
So I don't have the complete picture on that. When I sat in myself on a tribunal case and heard cases, I know that there were concerns on the Home Office part about late evidence being provided that could have been provided earlier. So I think there's some sort of discernment to be made about late evidence being...
I'm sorry, can I just clarify a bit more on that? Rather than late evidence, the point that's been made is regards to presenting officers. I take the point if they're being given information on the day, it may be difficult to make a decision, but when information has been given to them before, that they are still not prepared to look at the new evidence and take a different course of action, and told to fight that to the letter end, when in reality, in the interest of justice, they should be looking at finding a more of a pragmatic way forward with the evidence before them. Is that something you've come across or not?
Well, that's the first time it's been raised to me, but again, and I'm quite happy to have a look at that, but I would just say, I think the point Paz was making is also quite an important point, that there are times where I could see where the team would have a view about somebody coming up with evidence that should have been brought up much earlier at such a late stage, and therefore the veracity of that evidence. But it's not an issue in that format that's been raised with me personally.
And I take the point that can be looked at. It's not simply on the day of the trial, when it goes before, is that evidence has been put before, and that even then, the presenting officers have shown little regard to the evidence put before them. And the point comes, do you have adequate resources to look at the new evidence that's been put before weeks, months, and it's not being taken into account, which then leads to judges making decisions, time, money, and also the anxiety and distress to individuals?
Yeah, no, I'd quite like to pick that up and explore that further with you outside of this meeting as well, purely because I'd like to get a bit more detail behind that. Because I know, for example, when cases are raised that come across my desk, where it's raised by a Member of Parliament or for any other reason, there are points in those cases where evidence has been brought forward in various parts of the case. So I've seen cases where, even at relatively late stages, there's evidence in there that is taken into account because it is evidence in terms of the final decisions that's made. So I haven't seen where that has been a particular issue. It's not something that's been raised with me before, but if you think it is an issue, I will certainly try to get some details with you and take that up and look at it.
And then just linked to that, are you satisfied with regards to the competence of presenting officers? Because there's been some comments made at every level in the past about the competence and the ability of the presenting officers who appear on behalf of the Home Office.
Well, look, I think the challenge is presenting officers, particularly if they're going through a court case where obviously you've got an applicant who feels strongly that they want to get one result. Obviously, the government is taking a different position in those cases. There is going to be a tension between the government's team and the applicant's team, which means the applicant is always going to have a negative view of what the government's team are doing. So I'm not sure I would personally therefore take the view that means the team are very, very good at their jobs, and they do work very, very hard. And I know through working with those teams to get the right results, to do the right thing the first time. But there's obviously always going to be a tension between where they are and actually the outcome that a particular applicant would like to see in their own given case.
And just three brief questions. One, with regards to the number of appeals that go from the lower tribunal to the upper tribunal, is the percentage of the success rate. That's something your office can get back to us on.
Yeah.
The other one is regard to entry clearance. How many of those cases that when individuals apply to come into this country are initially turned down? Do we have that? And how many are then allowed at appeal?
Sorry, say that again?
In terms of entry clearance, sure, entry clearance, number of cases that come before the Home Office to deal with, how many of them then are reviewed, and after that, how many are then allowed on appeal? And the point where I get to on that is in terms of the competence, in terms of being allowed in the first place, but then they have to then go through a review, and then they have to go through an appeal. So how many they are initially turned down at entry clearance, and then later allowed on appeal by the courts? Do we have that figure?
This is initial decisions on visas, for
yes,
instance.
correct.
So I don't have that information with me today, I'm sorry.
And that's something you can pass back. And then the final thing linked to that, it's said by some that the review that takes place after an application has been refused, that it's a mere rubber stamping exercise, and the government may have a target of the number of cases it allows in, and it does not allow in. Is there a target system on that or not? And the
review looks at the individual circumstances and facts of that.
And the final question on that, and the review process on that, you would say, is not a mere rubber stamping exercise. It is looked at thoroughly, with somebody objectively before another decision is made. Yeah.
Yes.
And then just link to that, but the final figure you would give in relation to how many are allowed on appeal, you come back to us on that.